My husband married me for one reason only, my heart. My blood type. My body, because they could save the woman he truly loved. My parents, the doctors, and the family all worked together to stage a car accident, remove my uterus, and wait to take my heart on the operating table. I didn't cry or make a scene. I didn't run. I signed the agreements, donated blood, and moved into the basement, letting them believe I was already ruined. Until that day, when, on a nationwide live broadcast, on the giant screen of a shopping mall, I publicly played the recordings of them plotting my murder, the fake pregnancy documents, and the truth about the surgery. My name is Evelyn. Half a year ago, I married Daniel Carter. On our wedding day, I thought I was the happiest woman in the world. Now I know that from that day on, my name was written onto a list called expendable. Today, the Carter family is hosting a cocktail party. I'm wearing an expensive gown, standing beside Daniel, smiling at everyone. His sister Emily is here too. She's always been frail, but tonight she looks especially pale. Are you okay? I ask her. She smiles at me. The smile looks a little strange. Then the wineglass slips from her hand. Glass shatters across the floor. Emily collapses, eyes closed, completely still. The crowd screams. What is Daniel's first reaction? He doesn't look at me. He doesn't even glance at his wife standing right beside him, me. He rushes over and scoops Emily into his arms. Call an ambulance, he shouts, panic in his voice. A kind of panic I've never heard before. My mother-in-law, Linda, grips my arm. Her hand is ice cold. Good thing you're healthy, she says. Emily has had heart problems since she was little. I stand there in a daze, watching my husband hold another woman, his face pressed close to hers. In that moment, I feel like an outsider, a completely unnecessary outsider. The ambulance takes Emily away. Daniel goes with her to the hospital, not even turning back to look at me. At 10 that night, my mother-in-law finds me. Evelyn, there's a document that needs to be delivered to a law firm downtown immediately. She stuffs a sealed file envelope into my hands. The driver is waiting outside. He's headed that way anyway. I'm confused. Now? It's so late. It's important. Her tone leaves no room for refusal. I get into the car. The driver is a silent man I've never seen before. The car pulls onto the highway. It's pitch black outside, and it starts to rain. Suddenly I remember, it's our 6-month wedding anniversary today. Daniel forgot. Everyone forgot. Then I see blinding headlights from the opposite lane, rushing straight toward us. The driver jerks the wheel, but it's too late. A deafening crash. The sound of shattering glass. My head slams into something hard, and the world goes black. I wake up in the hospital. My whole body aches. I can't move. There's a tube in my mouth, and breathing is painfully difficult. I hear a doctor speaking to someone. The accident was severe, uterine rupture. We had no choice but to remove it. She'll never be able to get pregnant. Never get pregnant. Never. I blink, tears sliding out of the corners of my eyes. Then I hear voices outside the door. Daniel's voice, and my father-in-law's. Has the donor schedule been confirmed? My father-in-law asks. Yes, Daniel replies. Next Wednesday. The timing is perfect. What donor? What schedule? I strain to listen, but the anesthesia surges back in. I fall asleep again. In my dream, I'm still at the wedding. Daniel is smiling at me, but his eyes seem to be looking at someone else. I stay in the ICU for 3 days. Sometimes awake, sometimes drifting in and out. Every time I wake up, I hear fragments of conversation, things I was never meant to hear. Emily's heart has entered irreversible failure. A doctor says she needs a transplant immediately. Evelyn's blood type and tissue match are a complete match. It's a miracle. Daniel's voice answers. It's not a miracle. I reviewed her medical report before the wedding. My blood turns cold. Before the wedding? What's the success rate? My father-in-law asks, calm, like he's calculating numbers. Over 95%. If the donor is healthy, she can't have children anyway. My mother-in-law says, this works out. At least her heart can save Emily. My heart? They want my heart? I try desperately to move, to scream, but my body feels nailed to the bed. Daniel speaks again. I've already signed the medical power of attorney. Legally, I can make all medical decisions for her. The driver? My father-in-law asks. Taken care of. Sent to South America. He'll never come back. And the police? Closed case. Traffic accident. The cameras just happened to be broken. Just happened to be broken. Everything just happened to line up. I keep my eyes closed, tears soaking into the pillow. Then a young doctor comes in to check my monitors. He leans closer, his voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Carter, if you can hear me, the transplant is extremely risky. I tried to object, but they shut it down. He wants to help me, but he can't. After he leaves, I hear my phone vibrate. My bag is in the cabinet. My phone is inside it. Suddenly I remember I enabled automatic cloud recording on my phone. Before the accident, I was sending voice messages to my best friend. The recordings might still be uploading. If they find out. No, they won't check. To them, I'm already half dead. A container waiting to have its heart removed. The surgery is scheduled for 1 week later. My father comes to see me. He's a renowned cardiac surgeon and a consultant at this hospital. He sits by my bed and holds my hand. Evelyn, don't be afraid, he says gently. Dad is here. Emily is a good girl. She really needs you. She needs my heart. You'll save her. Won't you? He looks at me with warm eyes. You're a kind child. Kind. So that means I deserve to die? On the day of the surgery, they inject me with medication. I can't move, but my mind is clear. I'm wheeled into the operating room. My father is in surgical scrubs, a mask covering his face, only his eyes visible, the eyes I've known my entire life. Now they look at me calmly, the way one looks at an object. Begin, he says. I feel the cold instruments. I feel my skin being cut. I feel my chest being opened. Then I heard the alarm. Sharp, relentless. Heart rate dropping, blood pressure crashing. Technical damage to the donor heart. Technical damage? What did that mean? Prepare for emergency resuscitation. My father's voice suddenly turned urgent and heroic. Hurry! We can't lose her. I was pulled back from the edge of death. Later, I learned that during the surgery, my heart had been accidentally damaged and was no longer suitable for transplantation. My father saved me. He became a hero. Daniel rushed into the ward, clutching my hand and crying, Evelyn, thank you for surviving. I'll take care of you for the rest of my life. I swear. His tears were hot, but his hands were cold. A nurse quietly slipped a note into my palm, written in tiny letters. The surgical records were altered. The heart damage was intentional. I stayed in the hospital for 2 months. The day I was discharged, I made a decision. I would make them believe I was finished. I went to Daniel and my in-laws on my own. I'm sorry, I said with my head lowered, my voice barely audible. I know I'm useless. I can't have children, and my heart isn't good anymore, but I still want to stay in this family. My mother-in-law looked surprised. I'm willing to sign a long-term blood donation agreement. I said, I'll donate blood regularly to help Emily hold on until a new donor is found. Daniel stared at me. You really mean that? I do. I forced out tears. I just don't want you to abandon me. They exchanged glances. Then my mother-in-law smiled, the fakest smile I had ever seen. Good girl. We're family. Family. A family that calculates how to take your heart. I signed the blood donation agreement, the medical authorization, everything they put in front of me. They relaxed. Daniel stopped pretending to care. He began staying out all night. Emily moved into the master bedroom, my old room. She started ordering me around. Evelyn, pour me a glass of water. Evelyn, my shoulders hurt. Massage them. Evelyn, walk more quietly. My heart isn't strong. I did everything. I became a shadow, quiet, obedient, useless. In private, I began to act. Using an old phone, I connected to the hospital Wi-Fi and secretly downloaded all my medical records. I pretended to be depressed and went to see a therapist, a doctor with a real conscience. He gave me a name and a contact. If you need help, find him, he said. The name was William Hayes, a medical ethics lawyer who specialized in organ transplant abuse cases. That night, I hid in the bathroom and sent him my first message from a disposable phone. I need help. They want my heart. 3 minutes later, a reply came. Stay in contact. Gather evidence. Don't alert them. I deleted the messages and flushed the toilet. The face in the mirror was pale, eyes sunken, but in those eyes, there was light, a glimmer of revenge. Emily recovered quickly, too quickly. She began hosting parties at the house, inviting all her friends to celebrate my second chance at life, she said, raising her glass, her eyes fixed on me. I sat in the corner. No one spoke to me. After one party, my mother-in-law called me aside. Emily needs a quiet environment to recuperate, she said. There aren't enough rooms upstairs. The basement's been cleared out. You'll move down there. The basement. No windows. Damp. Just a small exhaust fan. You need to be sensible, she said, patting my hand. It's all for this family. I nodded. I understand. I moved downstairs. My room had a bed, a cabinet, and a single light bulb. There was a camera on the wall. A red light stayed on constantly. They were watching me. One day, Emily brought her friends down to the basement. This is my sister-in-law's room, she said with a smile. She likes quiet these days. One girl covered her mouth, laughing. Doesn't it look like a prison? Everyone laughed. Emily looked at me. You don't mind, do you, Evelyn? You don't really have any social needs anyway. I shook my head. I don't mind. At night, I heard noises from upstairs. Laughter, music, and Daniel and Emily talking, intimate, close. I sat in the darkness, staring at the camera. Suddenly, I noticed a wire behind it, leading to a small port, a data port. I could access it. I studied computer engineering in college. Before marriage, I worked at a tech company, Daniel said. I'll support you. So I quit. Now that skill finally mattered. I waited until 3 in the morning, when everyone was asleep. I climbed up quietly and plugged in a cable I had secretly hidden. My old laptop booted up. The screen flickered, and then I saw it. The back end of the surveillance system. I could see live feeds from every camera, replay all recordings, download all data. More importantly, I could control it from the other side. I quietly installed a small program. From now on, while the system recorded me, it would also send encrypted copies to my private cloud. They were watching me, and I was recording everything they did. Another month passed. I donated blood regularly. My face grew paler by the day. Emily looked healthier, glowing. One night, I went upstairs to get some water. The study door was ajar. I saw Daniel and Emily inside. They were kissing. Not the kiss of siblings. The kiss of lovers. I froze in the doorway. Daniel looked up and saw me. He didn't panic. He didn't explain. He stepped out, closed the door, and pulled me aside. You saw everything, he said. You too. My voice was shaking. I love Emily, he said calmly. I always have. The world spun. But your siblings, we're not related by blood. She was adopted. Daniel looked at me coldly. Marriage between us isn't legal, so we needed you. You were cover, Evelyn. Legal cover. So that was it. All the tenderness, all the vows, all of it was fake. I was just a tool to make their love look legitimate. I want a divorce, I said. Daniel laughed. You can't. Why not? Because you haven't finished serving your purpose, he said. Emily still needs your blood until a new heart donor is found. Until then, you're not going anywhere. The next morning, at family breakfast, Emily announced some news. I'm pregnant. She rested a hand on her belly, smiling sweetly. My mother-in-law screamed and hugged her. My father-in-law smiled and nodded. Daniel wrapped an arm around her shoulders, his face full of happiness. Everyone looked at me, waiting for my reaction. I put down my fork. Congratulations. You'll keep donating blood, right? Emily asked. For the baby? I nodded. Of course. After breakfast, the nurse who had helped me before quietly found me. She's not pregnant, she whispered. I saw the test results. They're all fake. Fake pregnancy. I understood. This was the second safety net. Using a child to bind me, to keep me as a living blood bank. Emily's pregnancy drove the whole family into a frenzy. My mother-in-law bought piles of baby supplies. Daniel walked with Emily every day, touching her belly. They even started discussing names. And I was told to increase the frequency of my blood donations. For the baby's health, my mother-in-law said. Hang in there a little longer. I nodded and rolled up my sleeve. As the needle slid into my vein, I watched the blood bag slowly fill. This was my blood, but they said it was for the baby. One day, my mother-in-law brought me a document. This is a waiver of inheritance, she said casually. You know, the family assets will go to the grandchild in the future. Sign it so there won't be disputes later. I picked up the pen and signed without even looking. She seemed surprised. You're not going to read it? I trust you, I said. She left, satisfied. That night, Daniel came home in a good mood. You've finally learned to behave, he said. This is better for everyone. Better for everyone. Except me. That night, I contacted William. I got the fake pregnancy medical records. I typed, and a copy of the inheritance waiver. They think I signed the original, but I swapped it for a photocopy. Smart, William replied. When are you planning to leave? Soon. A few days later, I took the initiative. I want to do one last blood donation. A large one. Consider it a gift for my future niece or nephew. They agreed. On the day of the donation, I lay on the medical bed, watching my blood flow out of my body. At the same time, my phone quietly worked inside my pocket, revoking the medical power of attorney, revoking all shared property management rights, closing all joint accounts. The blood bag filled up, and so did my preparations. After the donation, I lay weakly on the bed. William sent the final message. The lab offer is confirmed. 8-year contract. New identity. Full protection, but you can't contact anyone from your past during that time. Are you sure? I'm sure, I replied. It was a top-tier medical research institute in another country. They wanted my case, a heart severely damaged yet miraculously surviving. More importantly, they offered sanctuary. That night, I performed my final act. I crawled to the door of Daniel's study and knocked, crying, Please, don't make me leave. This family is all I have. I'll do anything. Daniel opened the door, impatience in his eyes. Evelyn, grow up. The way you are now. You're a burden to everyone. But I love you, love? He laughed. Then love me one last way, leave quietly. My mother-in-law came out after hearing the noise. Her face cold. The driver will take you back to your parents' house tomorrow morning. We've already informed them. No, please, I cried hysterically. They shut the door. I sat on the floor, tears streaming down my face. They were real tears, but not from heartbreak, from rage. Early the next morning, carrying a small suitcase, the only thing they allowed me to take, I got into the car. It headed toward the airport. On the way, I checked my phone one last time. The system lockdown protocol was ready. With one confirmation tap, every Carter family smart system, security, surveillance, financial platforms, medical record access, would be locked. They would require my biometric data to unlock, and my biometrics were about to disappear from this country. The car arrived at the airport. I got out and walked into the terminal. Before security, I pressed confirm. Then I tossed the phone into a trash can and walked into the International Departures Hall without looking back. As the plane took off, I looked down at the city shrinking beneath me. Goodbye, or rather, farewell forever. 8 months later, at my new lab, I had a new name, Ivy, a new life, new work, a new heart. The lab found a compatible donor and performed a transplant. I was truly healthy now. One day, during a break, I casually scrolled through the news. A headline popped up, Carter family heir suffers sudden heart failure while trying on wedding dress. Live stream cut. I tapped the video. It was Emily. She was in a luxury bridal shop, wearing an extravagant wedding gown, smiling at the camera. My wedding with Daniel is next month, she said. Although we couldn't keep the baby, our love is even stronger. The fake pregnancy had indeed ended in miscarriage. Now they were ready for a real wedding. The live stream continued. Emily turned to show off the train of her dress. Then a clerk carrying a large box walked by and lightly brushed against her. Barely touched her. But Emily suddenly froze. Her hand flew to her chest. Her face turned ghostly white. Then she collapsed straight backward. The camera shook. Someone screamed. The feed cut out. I closed the news and went back to work. But in my heart, I knew it had begun. Her body was rejecting, not the new heart, but the absence of my blood. For years, my blood had been like a drug, propping up her system. When it was suddenly cut off, her body collapsed. A few hours later, William sent me an encrypted message. "They're looking for you. Like maniacs. I know. Your father publicly begged you to come back and save her. The video is everywhere." I opened the video. My father looked much older, facing the camera, tears streaming down his face. He said, "Evelyn, my daughter. Dad is begging you to come home. Emily needs you. We know we were wrong. We'll make it up to you. Please, please save her." Such good acting. I closed the video. Then my phone rang again. It was Daniel. He was using a number I recognized from before. I answered, but didn't speak. "Evelyn, please. Emily is dying. She needs a transfusion. Only your blood type matches. I'll give you anything you want. Money, houses, anything." I listened in silence. "Say something. Evelyn, you can't be this heartless." I hung up, blocked the number. Then I did one last thing. I remotely activated the final program I had planted 8 months earlier. At the shopping mall where Emily had collapsed, every screen suddenly switched. The public broadcast system began playing an audio recording. People in the mall were still discussing the sudden incident. Then every TV screen changed. An image appeared, a room inside the Carter house. The study. Audio followed. Daniel's voice. "I reviewed her medical report before the wedding. Healthy heart. Perfectly matched blood type. She's a flawless donor. My father-in-law. What's the success rate? Doctor, over 95%. If the donor is healthy. My mother-in-law, she can't have children anyway. This works out." Then another clip. "Emily, is the fake pregnancy certificate ready? Doctor, it's ready. But this is illegal. Emily, spare me. The money's already been wired." Then footage from the basement camera. "Emily, sneering at the lens, getting used to living here. Sister-in-law? Oh, right. You won't be for much longer." Daniel's voice off camera. "Did she sign the inheritance waiver?" "Emily, she did. Stupid enough not to read a word." Then came the most lethal clip of all. Audio from the operating room. My father's voice. "The technical damage has to look accidental. She can't die, but the heart must be destroyed. It can't be transplanted." Another doctor. "Director, she's your biological daughter." My father. "Do it. I'll save her afterward. She'll be grateful to me for life. And we can keep using her blood." The mall fell into dead silence. Then chaos erupted. People started filming. Phones rang everywhere. The media rushed in. The live stream resumed, but this time, it was broadcasting the Carter family's crimes. Within an hour, the news exploded. Renowned cardiac surgeon suspected of attempting to murder his own daughter. Carter family organ trafficking scandal exposed. Elite family disgrace, fake pregnancy, marriage fraud, attempted murder. My father was suspended by the hospital. Daniel was fired by his company. Emily was still in emergency care. But no one felt sympathy anymore. Police entered the Carter estate. Boxes of evidence were carried out. And every original file came from an anonymous cloud account. The account name was simple, Survivor. 3 days later, Emily was still in the ICU. Her body had developed a severe dependence on my blood. Without it, standard transfusions barely worked. Public opinion split in two. One side said Evelyn should come back and save her. It's a life. The other said, why should she? They almost killed her. My father released another video. This time, he actually knelt on the ground. Evelyn, Dad is sorry. I lost my mind. But Emily is innocent, she just loved Daniel too much. Please save her. I'll be your servant. Your slave. For the rest of my life. Daniel knelt too. Outside a TV station. In front of every camera. Evelyn, I was wrong. Truly wrong. I love you, I always did. I was just misled by Emily. Please come back. Let's start over, I laughed. William sent a warning, don't believe it. It's a trap. They want to lure you back and control you again. I knew. Of course I knew. The lab director spoke with me as well. Ivy, you can choose to go back. But if you do, we can't guarantee your safety. Nor can we continue protecting your identity. I shook my head. I'm not going back. Even with the public pressure? Even then. That night, I had a dream. I was back on the operating table. My father held a scalpel and smiled at me. You're a kind child, aren't you? I woke up drenched in cold sweat, but my heart was steady. No, I am not kind. I choose to live. The next day, through William, I released a short statement: I will not return. I will not donate blood. Every choice has consequences, and they must face theirs. The internet exploded after that. So heartless. This is justified self-defense, support. Refusing to save her makes her no different from them. I read the comments. Expressionless. Different? The difference is this: when they acted, I had no choice. Now, I do. Emily died early on the 10th day. Official cause of death: severe rejection after heart transplant, complicated by multi-organ failure. But everyone knew the real reason: she no longer had my blood. My father was arrested. Charges: medical fraud, intentional harm, falsification of medical records. Daniel was arrested as well. Charges: conspiracy to commit murder, unlawful confinement, financial fraud. My mother-in-law suffered a complete mental breakdown and was committed to a psychiatric institution. The Carter family's companies saw their stock prices collapse, then went bankrupt and into liquidation. 6 months later, the trial concluded. My father, life imprisonment, no possibility of parole. Daniel, 25 years in prison. My mother-in-law, long-term confinement in a psychiatric treatment facility. I sat in the lab's lounge, watching the news live stream. The camera panned across the courtroom gallery. Empty. Not a single relative or friend. The once mighty Carter family had completely fallen. William sent me a message: "It's all over." I replied, "No, it's just the beginning." My transplant surgery had been a complete success. My new heart was beating strong inside me. I officially changed my name, Avery Rivers. Evelyn Carter had died in that car accident. The person alive now was someone else entirely. 3 years later, I became a core researcher at the lab. My focus: mechanisms of organ rejection after transplantation. Irony? Perhaps. I had turned my own experience into expertise. I published papers, won awards, and led my own team. I was no longer a passive victim waiting to be saved. I was the one saving others. One day, William came to see me. We had become true friends, the only person who knew everything about my past. Daniel applied for sentence reduction in prison, he said, claiming he truly repented. Granted? I asked. No. The judge said his repentance came too late. Too convenient. I nodded. Your father applied for medical parole, heart condition. Approved? Denied. The prison doctor said his heart condition isn't serious. I laughed. A real laugh. Are you planning to stay here forever? William asked. I thought for a moment. No. Next month, I'm moving to a top US lab to lead a new project. Starting completely over? Completely. Before leaving, I went to one place, Emily's grave, in a modest cemetery. I found it. A simple headstone. Just her name and years of birth and death. No photo. No epitaph. No flowers. A groundskeeper walked by. Are you family? This plot hasn't been paid for 2 years. If not renewed, it'll be cleared. I looked at the stone. I thought of the girl who had mocked me at the party, of the woman who had towered over me in the basement, of the bride who collapsed in the bridal shop. I'm not family, I said. Then, handle it according to the rules. I turned and walked away. No tears. No pause. William waited for me outside the cemetery. You okay? He asked. Better than ever. I said. Truly better than ever. I no longer hated. Hatred requires energy, and my energy was for living. But I did not forgive. Forgiveness is God's business. Mine is living. Living well. Today was my 5th-year checkup for my new heart. Everything was normal. The doctor said, "Your recovery is astonishing. You're practically a new person." I was a new person. Leaving the hospital, the sun was bright. I wore my white coat. My badge reading, Dr. Avery Rivers. My phone rang. The U.S. Lab. Avery. The welcome team is ready. Can you arrive next week? Of course. I hung up and walked toward the parking lot, passing a bridal shop along the way. I glanced at the window display. A mannequin wore a stunning wedding gown. I paused for a few seconds, then continued walking. I didn't need a wedding dress. I didn't need a wedding. I didn't need anyone to complete my life. I was already complete. As the car started, the radio played an old song. The lyrics, "You took my heart. but I took everything else. I laughed, turned off the radio, drove toward the airport, drove toward a new life. The Carter family was gone. Daniel was in prison. My father was in prison. Emily was in the grave. And I was in the sunlight. The world kept turning, and this time, I chose my own direction.